8 foods that you should prevent to achieve stable blood sugar levels. And to be honest, by saying prevent, I actually don't mean prevent. I mean minimizing them as much as you can, because I'm a strong believer that, okay, sorry, because I'm a strong believer that anyone with type 1 diabetes, they should be able to consume and eat what they want, as long as they know the right amount of insulin to take to have stable blood sugar levels. So it's all about minimizing in that video. So straight to the point, food number one that you should start minimizing really, really hard is junk food. Junk food like pizzas, burgers, wraps, chicken wraps, peri peri, whatever, any junk food out there. Just for the reason that junk foods are full of saturated fats. And we don't want saturated fats in our diet. Saturated fats are the bad fats. They are the reason why our bad cholesterol, the LDL, low density lipoprotein, increases in the body. The HDL decreases in the body, and it's unhealthy for anyone, whether they do have diabetes or not. Now, what harm would these fats have for your blood sugar levels? Because I want to make that video bespoke to, diabetes, is that the more fat content a food has or a drink has, the more insulin resistance you're gonna get. You get that? So if you're consuming fat with carbohydrates, so if you're consuming a slice of pizza and you know that that slice of pizza has got 20 grams of carbs, for example, and your insulin to carb ratio is 1 to 10, so normally you should take 2 units of insulin for that. No, that's not going to happen. You probably need more, or you will need to adjust the timing of your injections, because having fats with carbohydrates at the same time, it slows the absorption of either the insulin or the carbohydrates. So there will be a delay regardless. You will have that phenomena of, a hypoglycemia, or the other way around, hypoglycemia. So that's only one thing that is bad about junk food. The other thing that is bad is the amount of sodium in junk food. So a lot of sodium means water retention and hypertension. For people with diabetes, that is no good. It's never good for someone with diabetes to have high blood pressure. That is obviously if you're prone to high blood pressure. And also there is no benefit of having water retention, because again, this works on the insulin resistance that I just mentioned as well, together with the fat. Now, another thing about junk food is the amount of sugar that is in there. So a lot of people think that if the food is not sweet, it does not have sugar. False. You don't understand the amount of sugar in junk food. Don't ever underestimate it. Anything that is pretty much manufactured is gonna have a lot of sugar. That's what they do. That's how manufacturers work. More sugar means more insulin, means more risk of unstable blood sugar levels, because you're gonna be taking more insulin. So let's say there's a 10% percentage that you're gonna get the insulin amount wrong. Now it's increased. Okay. Another thing is that there is no nutritional value whatsoever in having a food that is full of sugar and full of saturated fats. So what's the point? You're just gonna eat something that will have no nutritional value in your body, and unless you're gonna start moving and exercising or doing any physical activity, is gonna be stored in the body as either glycogen or fat. And most probably, if you are having junk food regularly, then your muscle and liver glycogen storages are full, so it's gonna be stored as fat. So there is no point. Last thing is junk food, because of what I said, high fat content, high sugar content equal very high calorie equal obesity. So having a lot of junk food is gonna increase your weight. You might be obese. Being obese equal more insulin resistance. So I cannot find any reason why would someone have junk food on a regular basis. Second food in our list, well, not food, actually drink in our list, is the sugary drinks. So sugary drinks such as sugary fizzy drinks or even juices. So not a lot of juices are fresh. Not a lot of juices got naturally occurring sugars only. A lot of stuff, like the majority of juices, unless it strictly says that it's got only naturally occurring sugars from fruits, then it's got added sugars to it. Should we never use sugary drinks? Actually, no. We should be using these kind of products to prevent or to treat hypoglycemia. But if you're just gonna have it while doing nothing, not suffering from a hypoglycemia, just sitting down, eating, just having that sugar drink, you're just consuming something for nothing. There is no nutritional value again in that. There's only pure sugar. Unless you're gonna have that drink and run 2 miles, it's gonna be stored in your body as fat. And also more insulin. And again, I'm never against having more insulin. But me being a bodybuilder, man, in my off season, I consume a lot of carbohydrates. So I take a lot of insulin. But I take a lot of insulin for a valuable meal, for a meal that's got some good nutritional values inside, that's gonna benefit me. Pure sugar is not gonna benefit me by any means, unless I'm gonna get involved in physical activities or, as I said, treat or prevent a hypoglycemia. Number 3 on the list, desserts. So desserts such as cakes, chocolates, baklava. I'm actually hungry now saying all this. Any desserts, I don't need to mention them. Like, there's a lot of stuff, donuts. What's wrong with desserts? I bet that is obvious. Full of sugar, full of fat, full of high calories. The amount of sugar in desserts is insane. The amount of fat is depending on the dessert itself. And if you think about it again, just like with the sugary drinks and the junk food, unless you're gonna get involved in an activity, there is no point. As I mentioned, consuming carbohydrates with fats at the same time, it messes up your estimation and prediction of your insulin, and that's a big thing. It's when like, I'm clear about my insulin to carb ratio. I know that it's 1:5. That is me actually. It's one unit to 5 grams of carbs. But I know if I consume a piece of cake, a slice of cake, it's not gonna be that. If I consume a slice of pizza, it's not gonna be that. I'm either gonna be adjusting the dose, increasing it, or 100% I have to play with the timing. So if I inject my insulin normally just before I eat, I'm gonna probably be injecting it like 20 minutes before I eat, just for it to work before the action of the fats and the carbohydrates together that causes a delay in insulin absorption, it kicks in. So try to minimize them unless you know your way around it. So it's always about a trial and error. Number 4, canned foods. So what's up with canned foods? Why is everyone against them lately? It's not lately. What happens is canned foods are foods that are made to stay on the shelf for a very, very long time. This is not gonna happen without having preservatives inside, because it preserves the product. That's the point. They are also full of saturated fats. And as I mentioned, saturated fats is no good, no nutrition value whatsoever. But what's wrong with preservatives? Because I was till recently, I was under the impression that why are they bad? What are even preservatives? Preservatives are chemicals that gets added into that meal, that can of food, to be able to preserve it for 12 months, 24 months, to be able to keep the same taste and odor and freshness, right, for that long period of time. So preservatives could cause harm to your health, but to your diabetes, preservatives with saturated fats might risk, again, that insulin delay effect that I just mentioned, because these stuff, they have sugar as well. Sugar acts as a preservative. So combining fats, bad fats, with simple sugar, never a good idea. So you want to minimize them for both the diabetes management and also the health effect. So everything in the list that I mentioned is not good for a person without diabetes anyway. So they are all unhealthy in a way. They all provide zero nutrition value. So it's no good anyway. Number 5, fried foods. Fried foods are really bad. That's all I'm gonna say. Whether it's fried chicken, fried vegetables, fried fish, whatever it is, it's not the actual food. It's the amount of oil that you soak your food in to fry it. Most cases, all these oils are gonna be made of 100% saturated fats or trans fats. Sorry, I forgot to mention as well, for the canned foods, it has a lot of trans fats as well, which is bad, and sodium. Right, fried foods, oil, no good, increases cholesterol level. full of calories because 1 gram of fat, which is basically the whole oil is made of fat. 1 gram of fat has got 9 calories. 1 gram of carbs and proteins got 4 calories. So if you're having a lot of fat in a food, it's most probably very, very, very high in calories. That's no good. If you're dieting, if you're taking care of your health, you're gonna cause obesity. Obesity equal insulin resistance, as I just said. And if you're gonna have food that has got a lot of high cholesterol, if you don't have diabetes, you're putting yourself into risk of getting type 2 diabetes. If you have diabetes, then you're making it a lot harder for you to manage your blood glucose levels. I'll tell you something. When I'm competing very soon, but when I'm in my off season where I'm meant to eat a lot, to kind of build my muscles, I still don't have fatty foods. I'm not a fat fan, put it that way, just because of the reason of the delay that it might cause. You can have fat without carbohydrates, and this is the keto diet, but having both together is gonna cause a conflict. It's not gonna work well. You will have to keep on changing and adjusting your insulin. So avoid it from the start. Plus, oil, saturated fats equal zero nutritional values. So there is no point. Number 6, candy. So why candy is in the list? Candy is exactly the same as the sugary drinks that I just mentioned. No fat, just pure sugar. Should we never use candy? Nope, I never said this. In fact, I have a candy right here, just beside me. It's always here in my office. But we should use it under only 3 conditions: to prevent a hypoglycemia, to prevent hypoglycemia, to treat a hypoglycemia, and finally, if you're gonna be exercising or you're gonna be involved in a physical activity. This falls under the bracket of preventing hypoglycemia, but also you can use it for energy. So if you don't have diabetes, you can use it just for energy, to just while you're having your gym session, while you're running or swimming or so on. But apart from that, there's no point. There's absolutely no point. If you just have it randomly, most likely it's going to be stored in your body as fat. It should be stored in your body as muscle glycogen or liver glycogen or fat. But in most cases, your muscle and liver glycogen are going to be full, because if you're consuming candy regularly or anything from the list, it's going to be full anyway, so it's going to be stored as fat. So there's absolutely no point. Only use it when needed. Number 7 is sauces. So I'm not telling you not to use sauces at all. No, I use sauces, but the likes of ketchup, mayo, barbecue, all the other stuff that I don't even know what they're called, but I use them. They have a lot of sugar. So I want you to grab the sauce that you have in the fridge. Look at the nutritional values. If it's not a lot, it's safe to use. If it is a lot, at least take it into consideration when you take your insulin, because a lot of people, they think condiments and sauces you just don't inject for, but in reality, they are full of sugar, and you just need to take it into consideration. And again, if the sauce is full of fat and sugar and you're consuming a lot of it, you might again struggle to take the right amount of insulin. So check your sauces. If it's full of fat and sugar at the same time, consider replacing it with an alternative. I believe that there is, obviously probably they're not going to taste the same, but there's an alternative for each sauce out there. So I have like light mayo in my fridge. I think it's got less sugar. That's about it. But not telling you not to take sauces at all, but understand what's inside and minimize them when needed. Number 8, and the last in the list, is one of the worst, along with junk food. And I don't know a name for them, but they are these flavored coffee drinks. So like the likes of Frappuccino, hot chocolate with cream on top, milkshakes as well. These stuff, guys, are full of sugar. I cannot tell you how much sugar is inside. I never have it anymore, but back in the days, I once walked in Starbucks and I had a Frappuccino, and I injected insulin as if I'm having 2 plates of rice, and still my blood sugars were skyrocketing. And I was wondering what on earth is in that drink. The stuff that they add, the cream, the caramel, the chocolate sauce, the sugar, the milk. I don't know what kind of milk they put as well. It's mental. I'll be surprised if anyone can estimate how much insulin they need for a double chocolate latte frappuccino. I don't even know if that exists, but I don't even know, because you will never see me having these kind of drinks. When I only consume black coffee or white coffee, but I want to know what kind of milk is inside to adjust accordingly. Tea, green tea, these kind of stuff. I never touch the likes of frappuccinos and all that stuff, because it's full of sugar, obviously full of fat from the cream and the milk and all that. And again, as I said in every single food in the list, no nutritional values. Me being a nutritionist and being a bodybuilder, I care so much about the nutritional value that I get. You might not care as much, but I would advise that you care, because you got only one body and it's your health. But for me, if something doesn't provide me with any benefit, there is no point. I'd rather consume these calories from something that would actually benefit my body. Right, that's it. I hope this helped.